except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn, because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
To jump in. Thank you, Rich Top Ramblers, singing us in One Street Over. What you doing, y'all? This is 1100 WSGI. I'm your intern, LaVern, and just so glad to have you with us. It's Wednesday, Sunday, halfway there to the weekend. I'm so excited because I don't know. It's been ever since the snow. I just can't get my rhythm back. I'm just like, oh man, I need a snow day. And it's not looking, it's so funny. I was just determined and I was just certain we were going to get another blast of winter. And who knows, we may still. But, it's kind of looking like we're getting an early kiss of spring. I'm good with that too. But I'm tired, No, I'm kidding. It's good, but happy Wednesday. I hope you're going to have a wonderful one, and I hope you've got great plans for the rest of the week. But today we need to pause and we need to remember our veterans. We take the first Wednesday of the month and we always talk to our Veterans Service Office. And for years and years, that was Terry Wilson. And then I don't get to talk to Scott a lot because he was kind of shy, I want to say. Were you shy, or are you just like, man, they got it? Or you just didn't want to come in?
Well, no, but the shy part is I'm usually not the focus of attention. So
okay, and you just are not a morning person, maybe?
I'm a morning person.
Okay,
but our veterans, whatever I got to do for our veterans, I'm here.
There you go. I'm just teasing you, but Scott Erwin's in the house, and a new friend. I've heard so much about you, Abigail. Oh. Abigail Ware is in the house. You were in the studio, but I was out, correct? And I can't remember why I was out. I don't know what it may have been because it was the first of, it was during my mom's passing. Yeah. We were at the funeral, and so all that was going on. And so Lee Marie stepped in. I can't believe it's just been a month, man. It feels like it's been forever, but nonetheless, I appreciate so much her coming in, but I was a little jealous she got to interview you and I didn't get to introduce you to everybody. So welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so I don't even really know where to start because first and foremost, people keep telling me about your background and all of that. And then of course I know your background, you're military and you served. And I mean, I just can't say enough about what we've got going here in our Veteran Service Office in Robertson County is just phenomenal. Having a veteran as a son myself and knowing so many veterans because they're my heart, I know where areas where people struggle to find people to really be their advocate, and we've got 3 amazing advocates right here in Robertson County, and we are so blessed, and it's just wonderful. We are very blessed here in Robertson County, so very proud of you guys. So welcome.
Thank you.
Where do y'all want to start? What do you think? Where do we need to start with? What do you think, Scott?
I know we've got a few big things coming up.
Let's start there then. We'll talk a little bit more about your background here in a minute, but let's start there.
So Terry Wilson, he was the face of the office for years, 10 years. He's been working with the Mont Haven Arts and Cultural Center in Hendersonville to trying to arrange an art therapy program to come to Springfield. And that finally happened. It was approved. And so the he wanted to make sure that we put the word out, and I'm going to leave a flyer with you.
Okay.
If that's okay.
What does that entail? Kind of unpack it for me.
So the art therapy session is just it's therapy.
Okay.
Just like some music is therapy for some people. For those interested, we have a couple already from our office that have been asking about the art therapy. Now, Mont Haven's going to come out next week on the 14th of February. They're going to be at the American Legion in Greenbrier from 1 p.m. to 2:30.
Okay.
Okay. It's going to be every other week. And Mont Haven is supplying all of the supplies.
Okay.
And the program is free. It doesn't cost anything. So for those, it's not only open to veterans, but also the veteran spouses, surviving spouses, first responders, and their wives.
Oh, wow.
Their spouse. So
Okay.
it's
cool.
a broad catch, and which is really nice, and it doesn't cost anything. You know, and the supplies are provided. So if
That's
this
amazing.
is something that someone's interested in, and it kind of helps them, you know, relax and get into a better space, then that is something that they can certainly, on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, 1 to 2:30 at the American Legion in Greenbrier.
Do you know what medium of art are they? Is it like painting and canvas, or is it
didn't-
going to be macrame? I mean,
Yeah.
art can be so many things. So I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
like
And they didn't specify.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't specify.
Assume painting.
that's kind of
Yeah.
what I do too. When you say art, you think, okay, we're going to have a canvas, we're going to have paints and brushes.
Yeah,
What it sounded like.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
me too.
and
Scott,
there's
who's
a
teaching it.
Navy veteran,
Okay.
who Drew Kirk is his name. He's going to be facilitating
Okay.
this program.
Okay. Very
So-
cool. So what type of does he do? Does he do painting?
I'm
You
not sure
know,
his
probably-
background.
Yeah, because I mean, this is a good little segue. Let's just kind of tease that we've got Willow Oak coming in tomorrow, and they will unpack for the fact that art can be just so many different things and so therapeutic. I love the arts, but I think that's a wonderful idea because
Yeah.
everybody has their thing. For some people, it's camping. That's where they find their peace and all those things. But I think that's wonderful. I think it's wonderful just to give them some options. So very
Right.
cool.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
a couple weeks ago, I do want to mention we met with. Well, I say we. Our office was just one of many that showed up at the Chamber of Commerce for the county, and there's a gentleman there, Asa, who's he's a veteran. He's leading the charge with really trying to gather what available resources do we have in the county for both veterans and newcomers alike,
Okay.
and really put together what Robertson County offers as far as it could be. There was a gentleman there who has a business with HVAC. Okay.
Okay.
Very veteran friendly. Of course, our office was there. The Congressman Green's point of contact was there to speak up on what they can do and what they've done for veterans. So that's a new initiative that the chamber's picking up, and I think within a matter of time it's going to be. I'm not sure if they're going to have like a website or somewhere you can go to where you're going to have different resources, because like I've mentioned before on your show, sometimes because of the red tape with the VA, our options to help are limited. And this is going to be a great resource, in-home care for mom or dad,
Wonderful.
So I'm looking forward to how this kind of transitions and forms.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. We're talking with Scott Erwin and Abigail Ware. They are with the Veterans Service Office. Gwen Harder, absent. Where's Gwen?
Probably sleeping.
Oh, she's really been playing hooky. I'm just saying, calling you out right now, sister. May try to get her in here this week, but she's also in the office. Now, are all of you guys full time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. Because you're just busy, like what Scott was saying a while ago, crazy busy yesterday, and he checks in with Terry, and he's on the golf course.
He was on the golf course,
I mean,
but
come on.
I tell you what,
What?
for about
Too
2
tired, let him
seconds,
enjoy it.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. I know. We're teasing you, Terry, but
for about 2 seconds,
Really?
it was a rub in. But
yeah.
we spoke this morning. It was so good to hear that. I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time Terry's ever said that.
Yeah.
So
Taking a
the
break.
fact that he's getting outside,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's one of these guys. When I first met him, and he was telling me all the different things he does, I'm like, what? And it was like, oh, and and this and this, and I'm like, what? And I mean, it was just this long list of things that he was involved with. And so, yeah, needed to take a break. We're totally teasing you, Terry. We appreciate how much you have served in this county. And here's the thing. You're still going to see him everywhere. He's the one who reached out to me about Vietnam Veterans Day, wanting to know if I can come and host it, you know. And I said, well, I'm taking the day off to do that because that's just so important to me. But so that, you know, that's coming up as well. We'll mention that before we finish up. But just so we're teasing, Terry. We know that you need the break. So if you got anything else that's right on top of your list there that you want to cover?
Something just going to hit on briefly. Terry's been organizing the Vietnam Veterans Day coming up. They did modify the name, you know, from Orange Heart to Vietnam Veterans Day.
Right.
And it's going to be a 2-day event this year. It's not going to be everything combined into one. That's the biggest takeaway. On the 28th, there's going to be of March 28th.
March 28th. Yeah,
March 28th.
We're a little over a month away.
Yeah, March 28th. There's going to be kind of a meet and greet. More to come on that.
And that's in the evening.
That's in the evening.
That's in the evening. And let me just kind of give a little caveat to that too. And I mentioned this yesterday. If you were there last year, it was a bit long because we did all the names.
Correct.
And that's what they're trying to alleviate, is making it such a. So please, 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 if you came and said, "Well, that was just so long," they're fixing that, and so we're going to read the names on the evening of the 28th. That's when we're going to have that ceremony, and I'm going to be a part of that as well as a whole ton of other people. And then the next day, then go. What you got?
So the next day, a big change this year is going to be. There's going to be a lot of representatives from Tennessee Department of Veteran Services present at Springfield Memorial. Directors of VA Healthcare, VA Benefits, some Tennessee Department of Veteran Services personnel. We can do intent to files. We can talk about claims. So this is our county's opportunity, even out of county, to really be face to face with the people that make big decisions.
Yeah.
You know, if you have issues, complaints, questions, please show up. Now is the time where you're going to have the subject matter experts right there at your, disposal.
Amazing opportunity.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that and see how that goes. I'm hoping we have a big turnout.
I think so too. And I still am blown away by the number of Vietnam veterans I meet that do not realize that their exposure to Agent Orange is being dealt with. And I mean, in ones that I have conversations all the time with my students. Do you know a Vietnam veteran? And inevitably somebody will say, well, yeah, my grandfather or my grandfather's brother, but they passed away. And I'm like, really? Oh, yeah, they had cancer. And I'm like, do you understand there's probably a connection to their exposure to Agent Orange, and there's benefits for your family and those that are surviving. And if they had children after their exposure, it could affect generations. And people are not being informed. And
Right.
of course, around here, we've been blessed because of, King Gamble's extraordinary work. And so, I'm just blown away. Vietnam veterans, if you got a lot of new people moving into the area. Vietnam veterans, you need to be there. You need to be there on the 29th. And, we'll all be there and welcome you and help you, direct you in any way we can.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely. So, talking with Scott Erwin and Abigail Ware, they are with the Veteran Service Office here in Robertson County. And again, Gwen snoozing somewhere. But let's pause for a second, and then we'll come back and reset. I want you to fully introduce me to this sweet girl and tell me all about her, and her addition to the office, because I've heard she's just fabulous and got this amazing background, because your mother has been involved. And see, I want to hear all this stuff. So I've been teased with the information, but I don't have all the details. So, but we're going to continue on with our conversation. If you have any concerns that you want to bring, right now is a good time to put those out there and they can address them. And yes, Miss Barbara Willis, you're mentioning to us that counselors that work in the school systems, this is National School Counselor Week. And I do want to acknowledge that. We have amazing counselors at our school, and I did not realize it was their week. So I'm gonna have to get them a box of chocolate or something and take to them because they mean so much to our kiddos at school. And we have just a wonderful team. But nonetheless, we do want to pause and talk about our sponsors, Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. Remember, it is a new name, but the same team. And this is White House in Springfield. We had Barry and Rebecca in on Monday. It was a real informative show. Very interesting because they talked about just kind of every aspect of real estate. From if you've got somebody that's in a situation where they're in foreclosure and they think they are, backed in a corner and have no options, call a realtor because you might be able to sell the house. You might be able to refinance. There are so many things that they can give you as options. And I never would have even thought to tell somebody that's in a crisis situation, have you called a realtor to see if maybe there's another option? Because banks don't want to foreclose on your property. They don't want to be in the real estate business. That's something that Barry and Rebecca mentioned. And with the economy like it is, this may be hitting more people than it has lately. So kind of keep that in mind. And Barry and Rebecca, they've dealt with that, especially Rebecca. Rebecca's apparently the expert on this because he says, call her, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. If specifically that's your need, or if you're up in the White House area and you need an agent, she's your girl. And again, they're with Exit Prime Realty. It's a new name, same great team, but their office is now covering White House and Springfield. And Barry is the broker here in Springfield, has an office right on the square. Whatever your real estate needs, he comes at it as an expert in marketing. He was a media marketing vice president for 17 years. He brings all that expertise about presenting your property, whether it be videography, photography, walkthrough tours, drone footage. He does it all, and they do it beautifully. Connect with them. Best way, just Google them. You can go to sellwithbecky.com or buy.robertsoncounty.com. They're cross-Planians. They've been there 28 years. They specialize in Robertson County, but buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. They're everywhere, and they can help you out as well. Connect with them. Google them. Barry Richards, Exit Prime Realty. Rebecca Richards, Exit Prime Realty. You'll go right to their pages. Or again, you can here's Becky's number one more time, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Always please let them know that you turned central. Okay, so Abigail. My. How long have you been doing this, young lady?
My first job was at a veteran's office 18.
Well, you're not very old now. Can I ask, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're a youngin'. You're younger than my kids. My youngest is about to be 28, and I'm like, but that's wonderful, but you grew up in it. So how in the world is it that your first job was in a veteran service office?
Well, I started volunteering with the veteran groups in the local area. I'm from Cheatham County.
Okay.
I started volunteering, just helping out at their meetings and stuff, due to my family being involved.
Okay.
When I was about 12.
Oh.
And so when I was, 16, 17, 18, I was doing more. And my mom got a job at the Veteran Service Office when I was about 14. And so when it came time that they were hiring for an admin assistant in the Cheatham County office, I applied because I had this volunteer experience. I didn't have any work experience, but I had all this volunteer experience. I knew all the veterans already.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got the job based on volunteer.
How cool.
And it was just a great job. I really enjoyed it. I was working with my mom at the time, and that was really fun. Love my mom. And it was just fun.
What
I
a
enjoyed
perfect
it.
fit. So why is your family so passionate about veterans?
I have veteran family members.
Okay.
I get asked all the time if I'm a veteran. I'm not a veteran, but I have, my uncles, my grandparents, fathers, uncles, whatever. And it's just in the family. So
they just have a passion for it. Just love the veterans. That's wonderful. I love that. And I mean, because you get that your freedom's not free.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. And so just having a heart for that and to come to the table. So I think that is so cool. And that's wonderful. And I love that and Scott was saying a while ago, it's just nice to have someone of a younger generation in the office for when the technology fails, right? It's like, Abigail, come here. We need you to fix this. What's going on? What is this? TikTok? What?
Yeah.
Do you do social media stuff?
Some.
Some? Okay.
Not a lot.
Okay.
I'm not a
But
TikTok.
No. I caution my students. I'm like, TikTok is like something you can't have in a federal. I mean, I don't think. I know I've got a kid that's got, I've got one of my kids that works on stuff, he's like a electrical engineer. And when it comes to security clearance and stuff, he goes, yeah, no, you don't need that kind of stuff. And it's just very invasive.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't want to mess with that stuff.
No.
But yeah, you're better off. But it is nice having that youthful, because here's the thing. We've got so many young people. They come out of school, they go into the military, they do like a 4-year turn or what my kid was 4. What's traditional? Is it a 3 or 4 year?
It's 2 or 4. Typically.
2 to 4 typically.
Yeah.
Okay, and so they'll do a turn in the military because they want to go in. Maybe they just passionately want to serve. Maybe they want to do it because they're wanting the benefit of the education.
Yeah.
And I've got, and that's fine because that's a thing. And I mean, should we help them with education for stepping up and saying raising their hand, saying I'll defend this nation? Yeah, I think that's a good thing. And so I think it's a wonderful program. But then you've got young people coming out your age that can much probably better relate to you than Scott and Gwen, who Scott's much younger than me, but
I have a lot of younger ones
Yeah.
right now. More than I ever saw at Cheatham, honestly. There's a lot of Vietnam veterans in Cheatham County.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young ones moving to Springfield. So I'm getting these guys that grew up here
Yeah.
and they're coming back home
Mhm.
and now,
They just need
struggling.
somebody. They just need somebody to help them out. And
Yeah.
so what typically do you what are the most common struggles of, because we know what's going on with Vietnam. Okay. We know where those guys are, where the older guys are. What are the young guys coming back with? I mean, what's the struggle?
Majority, I
Uh-huh.
mean, the ones that get deployed to Southeast Asia, they're
Mhm.
coming back with burn pit exposure, respiratory issues. There's a whole slew of cancers that go with that.
Mhm.
It's not just Vietnam presumptives,
Yeah.
There's all kinds of Afghanistan, Iraq, all
Mhm.
of those ones. They have
Mhm.
presumptive issues too.
Yeah, that's the thing that they don't think about. Do you still see a lot of just the trauma, dealing
Mhm.
with? Because I know when my son served, he was in an area where they were just constantly bombarded,
Absolutely.
and so I mean, he goes, it was so weird. I'm so glad I didn't know this while he was deployed, but he was like, we would hear the alarms go off, and it'd be like, take cover, but we're in tents in a desert, and it's like, you just hope it doesn't hit you, and I can't imagine.
The fear.
Yeah. And how do you cope with that? And you live in you're just basically armed all the time, the entire time you're over there. And to hear him talk about it, just like, as a mom, I'm like, man, I'm so glad I didn't really know what y'all were doing, but it's a lot. And he is 29. And so, I mean, he was in his early 20s. So, I forget exactly when his time ended, but yeah, he'd have been right there with him and coming back with that. Just, how do you cope with that?
Mental health will always be a problem with
Yeah.
veterans. It will always be an issue.
Yeah, I think so. But I think it's just wonderful that we have this amazing office. But I'm so proud of you guys and so thankful to get to know you. And so talk to me about the hours that you guys are open. I know them, but maybe some of our listeners do not. So what are the hours? Go ahead, Scott. It's your turn.
Well,
Get back up.
we're 5 days a week,
Okay.
reachable 5 days a week. Monday and Friday we work from home,
Right.
8 a.m. to 4:30. If you call us, it will be answered. If not, leave a message and promise we'll get back with you. Tuesday and Thursday typically are our appointment days. And then Wednesday, because we had some veterans who didn't want to book an appointment and have that commitment. And so we said, well, Wednesdays you can walk in.
Okay.
And so, again, 8 a.m. to 4:30, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're there at the main Robertson County City Building. Now, to piggyback on that, come this summer, June, July, there's a new building that they're putting up right across the street from the Robertson County City Building right now.
Okay.
That's where we will be moving to in this summer.
Okay.
Brand new building, 3 times the space, dedicated offices, much more privacy. We're going to make it better than what it is now. So we're looking forward to it.
I'm glad to know what's going on over there because I thought they were putting in some kind of a parking garage. And you know what I mean? I thought there was some kind of a parking garage at some point going up there, but we saw the construction, and my husband and I both were like, "Have you heard what they're building?" So it's in addition to the city building.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is that main county building's kind of growing, and so there's several of us, including our office, that's going to be moving across the street
Okay.
to allow for some more expansion there at
Okay.
the main building.
And that's all county?
That's all county.
That's all county. Okay, Mayor Vogel, I want details. Give me details because he's the one we've talked a little bit about the parking situation there and the need for maybe a parking garage or something to that degree. And so I've kind of been expecting to see that. I'll touch base with him and kind of see, but I didn't realize they were doing an addition to the city building.
That
So very
building's
cool.
going to have its own
Or
parking.
to the county building. I'm sorry. Say that again.
That building's going to have its own parking on the
Well,
side.
that's
and in the
wonderful.
back,
That's
so-
going to be nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we get our own door.
Oh, how exciting! I'm sure that's a struggle bus with the parking and situation there.
Kind of, sometimes.
Yeah, for
And,
sure.
and with handicap access, more to come on that. But the main front entrance, because of the grade, they weren't able to make it handicap accessible. And so handicap accessible entrance is going to be in the back. Hopefully, I'm sure they'll put up proper signage so
Yeah.
veterans won't park and then realize and have to go,
Sure.
I'm sure that Trey and his team with the engineers will make sure that's, fixed.
Okay.
But we're looking forward to it. It's going to be good.
I think that's wonderful. And again, the tentative move-in date, do you think?
The last I heard was June.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, hopefully in a month or so, the office, the team with Abigail and Gwen, we can walk across the street and kind of get eyes on and tour it if it's safe to walk around.
They said as soon as it's safe, we can do a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can start decorating in your mind.
Oh yeah.
Right. That's got to be something you're anxious to do.
I'm
you
so excited.
You just got that look in your eye like, ooh, what color are we going to paint? All those fun things. So, but very cool. I love it. That's wonderful. Just think about how far y'all have come. Because I mean, this was something that started with somebody just saying, hey, we need to have somebody for our veterans and volunteer. And I forget the gentleman's name that started that initiative. And then Terry came on board and they were at they had a little office up in the Greenbrier area, just around the corner from the Legion Hall, in the back of the city hall, wasn't it?
It was a literal closet.
It pretty much, because I remember dropping stuff off there and everything, and then they were like, oh, we're moving to the county building, and now what a wonderful vision, and to see how it's just manifested is cool.
We've been blessed. I'll say that.
And it's also just some encouragement for people who, if you see something that you think needs addressed, step up. And again, this office started as a volunteer, and Terry needs. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Wayne
Dan
Duggar.
Riley?
Wayne Duggar came on board.
Okay.
Dan Riley.
Okay.
And then Dan hired Terry.
Okay.
So that's kind of where it started.
But my understanding is it was just his heart for the veterans, and just like, this needs to be done. They weren't paying him or anything, and then they saw, because a lot of times you'll get involved with something that has got some opportunity there that nobody's just tapped into. Maybe there's money that's set aside federally, or there's grants or something like that you can tap into and bring these services in that you're like, we really need this. And that's the vision. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing. And now to see it to the point that it is now, 3 full-time employees getting your own digs in the new building.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. And in really a fairly short amount of time. I'd say it's been over the last 10 years.
Yes, ma'am.
About that. I mean, and maybe not fully 10, because I know when I first met Terry, and my first introduction to all of this was at the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival, which is coming up May 17th and 18th at Kilgore Park. And you just need to save the date, because all the veterans will be there. We'll all be there. It's going to be so much fun. Y'all planning to be there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Y'all have a booth?
We will.
T-shirts. That's where you get your... If you've ever noticed the red T-shirts a lot of people will wear on Friday, and I was much better about always wearing red on Friday when my kid was deployed. You just tend to be. But it's about bringing them all home. If anybody's deployed, you're supposed to wear red on Friday, and they sell those red T-shirts at every event I've been through, and they also sell the best hot dog ever. I mean, that's something Terry just, Terry and Ken's like, you just can't get a better hot dog. So, I mean, that's important.
Yeah.
Details are important.
Well, I know with getting back to the office and how it's grown and how much we've really been blessed and things that have worked out. Having a Billy Vogel, who's a huge supporter of what we do and what we help with. When Terry and I started looking for an admin assistant, we were lucky enough to find Gwen.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Terry, and that's when Terry and I were talking about him possibly slowing down and me stepping up. I said, well, Terry, it's my priority is not so much that the person we hire be a veteran. They've got to have the heart for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest need.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And we got really lucky with Gwen. She's phenomenal up front. And we equally with Abigail, because, it can take a year to be legally accredited to file a claim for a veteran. And it takes several years to become proficient and to really develop the right way of doing things. And research is a lot of it. And with Abigail, she had done it previously.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just seemed like it was meant to be.
I love it.
So our office, has big shoes to fill with Terry. I said, boy, I have a family. I have 2 teenagers, and I'm married for 24 years now. And I said, so the girls know when, hey, 4:30, it's family time.
You bet.
And so I'm trying to keep that mentality, because it's very easy when you care. It's easy to get kind of too involved.
Yeah.
And then you lose your family time.
Right.
So, but our office is doing very well, staying busy. I am going to start hitting the assisted living facilities.
Okay.
Here soon, because I just got a call from a law firm last night, who there's a veteran who's having some fiduciary VA problems, and I need to make sure that these facilities know, hey, we're still here. If I need to come visit, if it's once a week, once a month, please just call me, and I'll come see how to help.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to lose that relationship that Terry had worked so long to build.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be doing that here soon.
Okay, and and when you talk about the exposure to people who have served or who haven't served, just like Abigail was saying, she's got all these people in her family who have served, so she understands it from that perspective. Scott himself served when you were in service?
20 years. I came in 94, and I retired in 2015. When you start talking about your son, and I was in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
Had several young airmen that I supervised when I was there as a senior NCO.
Mm-hmm.
Remembering when you started talking about the alarms going off, and it was pretty much weekly.
Mm-hmm.
So been there. And one of the things I was really shocked to see while I was there were these young soldiers, sailors, Marines, Air Force. They had been in 5-6 years, and they were on their 2nd, 3rd, 4th deployment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The operations tempo was so higher than it's ever been in my tenure when I was in the service.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in Afghanistan 2012, 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And these poor guys and our lady vets, they're getting burnt out, and we're losing really good ones when I was in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been an eye-opener for me. And so when we have these young ones come into the office, that's what I remember. And like Abigail's saying, it's we're seeing a lot of the burn pits are going to be the new Agent Orange.
Mm.
The 35 different cancers that these burn pits are causing. I lost a friend, a good friend of mine, 2 years ago. Head, neck, throat cancer. He had cancer everywhere, and he's younger than me.
Man.
So. This is the kind of our new reality, and of course the mental health struggles. That's very common. So, my first priority when a veteran comes to see me is, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you doing? How are things? We'll work the claim stuff from there. But I want to make sure they're okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's so much, guys. And again, this team, very, very well equipped to help you. Having Scott being a 20-year veteran and Abigail with all of her family background, Gwen the same thing. Gwen's an Army, or is she Army?
Air Force brat.
Air Force brat. Oh, she's going to get me. I always say the wrong thing. And her family actually was deployed to Japan.
Yep.
Right.
Her daddy was there. I was there.
Yeah. So it's amazing. And so they all come at it from different perspectives, but with perspectives of understanding the needs of veterans. And again, Scott can specifically speak to it because he's one of ya. And Abigail and Gwen, they love ones like you and have been part of that. So it's just a great office. We are so blessed here. If you're a veteran, if you know a veteran, and they have not tapped into our veteran service office, what are you waiting for? And if, again, something where Scott started with when we were talking about Vietnam Veterans Day, on the 29th of March, we're going to be at the Memorial Gardens here in Springfield, and there's going to be all kinds of people that are specifically going to be there to answer your questions if you're a Vietnam vet and you have some needs. And there's a lot of newbies moving into this area that aren't aware of what we've got going on here, and you need to be aware of it. And again, the memorial ceremony where we read the names will be on the 28th at Memorial Gardens in the evening, and then it'll be all programmed then on Friday, the 29th, because I think it's a Thursday and Friday this year.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's Thursday and Friday. And so we'll be there on Friday, and it will be a beautiful day. It will be a wonderful day, and we really want you to put that on the calendar, save the date, and be a part of that. We're going to pause for a second and do our next break, and then we will continue talking with our friends, Abigail Ware and Scott Erwin from the Veteran Service Office. But we do need to talk about Cumberland Connect. Okay, folks, if you are not connected via Cumberland Connect and you are a Cumberland Electric customer, what are you waiting for? Now, you may say, well, they're not available in my area yet. Well, there's only a few of you that can say that, because for the most part, man, they're getting super close to getting everybody connected. It is so cool that it is being facilitated through our electric company, because our internet service has replaced our phone lines. And it's just something, very few people have landlines anymore. It's so funny. My mother we just turned off her landline. She would not let it go. And after she passed away, as one of my brothers said, we turned off the landline. So my old phone number from my childhood is gone. It's been replaced by broadband services. That's what my phone, I can't make a phone call. I live down in the valley. I live down in the holla. And if I have Verizon, if I try to make a phone call from home, it just doesn't work if I don't tap into the internet and piggyback on my internet to make my phone call. Everybody's got to have, you need broadband services. If you don't have it, you know what I'm talking about. You can't make phone calls. You can't get the things you need if you do some work from home. I do, photography and videography and all those things. I have to have broadband service that I can rely on and that's got some power. I got a gig for $80, and you can be in the gig club too. That's something that a lot of people tap into. That is a lot, but why not? And if you don't need a gig, that's okay. They've got all kinds of packages to serve you. And if you're somebody that says, hey, $80 is a lot of money and I'm struggling just to, pay for anything, and you qualify, there's an affordable connectivity program because it's now a utility. So if you qualify, you can fill out the paperwork. They're going to give you up to $30 per month for broadband services. And guess what? They have services starting at just $30 per month, so you can have it for free. You need details, you can call them at 800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362, or just very simply go to cumberlandconnect.org, cumberlandconnect.org. Type in your address, and they'll tell you, hey, we're ready to knock on your door and get you connected, and be sure to let me know when you turn 6 up. Okay, guys, it's all you. We've got a good 20 minutes here. What else you want to talk about? What else you guys got?
Well, something
Look at me like.
something I'm thinking about right now, and I mentioned it, I believe, last time we were on the show last month, is if we can, as a service officer, we're lucky enough, each of us in this office, to be able to do what we do. It's so gratifying, and you feel like such a sense of accomplishment. You helped when you're able to help families and veterans. especially during some really bad times. It's so much easier if, please, you will come see us before you need us. Okay. I can't emphasize that enough. So many of our veterans, and I still get them every week. I know Abigail does. I didn't want to be here. My wife finally told me after years I need to make an appointment. And I'm like, look, these are benefits. And I said this from day one. This is what you've earned.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not a freebie, a handout, a give me. This is what you've earned. Period. And let's see what we can do, how things are going, if we can help. And if you as the veteran, I get that most of them are very humble. Do it if you have a significant other, do it for your spouse. Okay. Because here's the deal. If we can help you get service connected for disabilities that were incurred because of your military service, then God forbid something happened to you, that's how we can help your spouse.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to do it for you, do it for your spouse. And, 3 weeks ago, my veteran's eyes got big when I mentioned that. So whatever motivation that you've been needing, I asked my veteran, is there anything you wouldn't do for your wife? He said, of course not. I said, okay. I mean, that's what we're doing. That's why you're here. Because he necessarily didn't want to be there. But I said, you're helping your spouse right now. So let's look and see what we can do for you. And, if something happens to you, she's going to get some help. So it's so much easier being proactive. Because when something happens, what do? We're already behind the 8 ball. And unfortunately, we do that more often than I wish we did. But I always try to make sure my spouses are aware. Hey, this is what the veterans are receiving disability for. This is what the VA has conceded is because of his service or her service. And if something happens to him or her, if you don't remember anything, call me. So I found it much better to be proactive. So come see us.
Well, and I think some of the younger ones, that's one thing I will say that when my son came out of the service, he went right to tech. He went immediately into college. And they have apparently some good folks out there because they very quickly said, you need to make sure you do this, and this, because this is, all the things. They made him aware as he was coming out. So I think they're doing a better job of educating soldiers that are exiting and saying, you need to get connected with your veteran service office. But I'm stunned at the ones probably or maybe about your age on up through Korea, all the older folks that just generationally, it was like, well, I came back with everything, so I'm good. It's like this stigma that's attached to it. Oh, I don't need anything. Well, it's not that whether your family may need something. At the very least, register with your veteran service office so you can be honored on your passing and be, have that memorial, have a veteran service and that to honor your service. I mean, I'm so proud to be a mother of a veteran, because I'm ashamed of the fact that I didn't serve. I should have served. And I had an opportunity to, but I was a big old chicken having grown up in the Vietnam era. I mean, that's just the truth of it all, because we lost our hired hand, Kenneth Pease, who I had known when I was just a little kid. That's my first memory. First vivid childhood memory is Kenneth coming up and saying, hey, I'm going to put on the uniform, and being so proud of him. And just a minute later, he was gone, and that just impacts you. And so, and I remember when my brother was born because of Vietnam, being afraid that he was going to get drafted because Kenneth had gotten drafted. And just that fear kept me from stepping up. And so to have one of my sons put on the uniform, I was so proud. Yeah. But I want him to get the benefits because I know what they paid him when he was in. It was pitiful. And people's like, well, they give him housing. No, they don't. They take that out of their check. Yeah. I mean, that's what people don't understand is how poorly they compensate soldiers while they're in. because no, they're not getting free food and all of this. No, 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 no. Well, especially when he was on base, he was stationed down in El Paso when he wasn't deployed. And when I found out that they took money out for mess hall for dinner, whether he went there, I was like, what? How in the world is that the way they do things? So they just do not take care of them real well while they're in
the country. They don't take care of them very well, do they?
No, and it's just breathtaking. And so whenever I saw that there was some benefit to him for some of the things, because hearing issues, they had what they protected their ears. He was Army infantry, and so he shot great big guns and stuff, and his hearing so damaged because what they had at the time was failing, and they covered it up.
Sure. And
there was the hearing protection wasn't what it needed to be, and so here he is. My ears ring because I'm an old disc jockey, and I used to listen to rock and roll too loud. It's my own fault. Here he is, 29 years old. His ears ring a whole lot worse than mine do. And so, but those kinds of things, they used to just do, oh, well, I'm okay.
Yeah. And a lot of them
shouldn't be.
A lot of guys that we see and some female veterans that come in. I've had that ringing. I just thought it was a thing.
I have to live with
it.
Yeah. They ignore it. They deal with it,
Mm-hmm. It's hard to ignore.
And some of my veterans, we've claimed secondary issues because every time my veteran's ringing gets so bad, it triggers a migraine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're able to claim things often secondary.
Yeah.
But we were talking about our, Vietnam veterans in the draft. My father was drafted, Vietnam veteran. He died of heart disease 9 years ago today.
Wow. And
so the benefit that I was speaking about earlier, helping the spouses, the VA, being the VA, they denied it twice for my mom. They denied it, and then I got to working with Terry, and we put together what needed to be done. He wrote a Terry argument, which was awesome, and
Terry argument,
argument, and the right doctor looked at it, and then granted.
That's awesome.
And so my mom gets assistance.
That's fabulous.
She gets a check every month, and that she doesn't work, and so that helps her, on a fixed income. So
can't say enough about it, guys.
Yeah.
Reach out.
I also want to say that I've had several lately, and I mean quite a few lately, come to me and say that they're embarrassed to come and speak up about their problems, and I'm like, this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to serve you.
Yep.
So there's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's the equivalent of going to the doctor. You're going to be embarrassed to talk to your doctor about your problem? Probably not. But if you come to us, we can actually help you get help for the problems. So
for so many years though, we were like, well, I don't want to take something away from anybody else. And, and that's how it seemed.
That's not how it works.
That's not how it works, y'all. If you've got this benefit coming, then you need to make sure that you have reached out, that you've at least gone on record, and there's just so much we can do for our veterans now. And there was a lot of things that used to go ignored, and I think that's a lot of veterans too. They knocked on that door 20 years ago, and got ignored and talked down to. And of course, during the Vietnam era, the way they were treated was just an abomination, and I don't like hippies to this day because of all that. But I'm sorry. Did I say that? I'm sorry. No, I'm teasing. But I did. That I will never forget watching the news as a child. And of course, it was kind of the hippie movement to be anti-Vietnam and all that. And it just angered me. And for years, if you said anything about being a hippie, I'd be like, get away from me.
Stink eye.
Yeah. I mean, truly. But it was there's stigmas that you get associated with different things, and the way our veterans were treated. I as a kid, I would, because I would be like, how dare you? Kenneth died for that. Because my friend died for that. How dare you? And that was, this is like when I was, like 8, 9 years old, and so that stays with you, and so I remember how our veterans were treated. And so those of you who've had that treatment, guys, it's not like that anymore. It's not like that anymore. People are working really hard to at least say, that was wrong and let's make it better and to give you the honor that you deserve. And I'm so glad that we've gotten better at that for our veterans now. And I can say again, my son's experience has been wonderful, and they're doing so much better with our younger veterans. And I'm so glad. But there's so many of them out there that, like you said, they're embarrassed, they're this, they're that, because of those stigmas and all of that they went through. But man, we just got to encourage them, guys. If you know these people, again, if you've got somebody in your family that has served and passed away, you need to check in to see if it was service related.
Yeah.
Because you may have family members that are struggling financially that have benefits they can't even imagine. If there was a service, I have one of my students mentioned an uncle that served in Vietnam that died of cancer. And I said, I can almost guarantee you, if he was in country and was exposed to Agent Orange, he probably is service related, and that could be a huge benefit to your aunt.
Yeah.
And I don't know but you can't make them. You can't make them go and check it out. And it's harder once they've passed, isn't it? For the spouse, it's a little bit harder, but it can still be done.
Sure. And it kind done. Of really what's on that death certificate drives what we're able to do. Sometimes, there are things that should have been on it, but the doctor didn't know. Mm-hmm. Now, you need to understand, too, our listeners, that you're hurting other veterans if you don't come see us. And the reason is because oftentimes we're able to get a veteran service connected for something that's not in the black and white VA handbook, because we get the support from a provider, we get the medical documentation. And so down the road, Abigail and I are able to remember that and use that for another veteran who has the same problem.
That's a precedent.
Yeah, and so you're helping other veterans if you come see us and we're able to work with you and get things granted. That's
a really good point, and people just don't. There's just so much. I don't know. Have we convinced you? You need to call the office. I tell you. So let's. We've got just about 9 minutes left. So let's do this. Tell them again your hours, how to contact you, all of that, and then I want us to kind of circle back around and go back over the things you started with. These new programs coming along. Sure. That you're going to talk about. So let's do that. But again, if we have not convinced you that if you know a veteran, love a veteran, are a veteran, you need to make contact with your veteran service office. You need to do it now. How do they do that? So our phone number, 615-382-6506. 615-382-6506. 8 a.m. to 4:30. Monday through Friday, we are reachable. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're in the office. Currently, we mentioned earlier, we're at 505 South Brown Street. As soon as you come in the building, right there to the right. This summer, we will be across the street come June, July timeframe. Brand new building, more space. So, and then we have the Mont Haven Arts and Cultural Center. That program, it's called Between the Lines. Mm-hmm. That'll be starting next week on the 14th. It's going to be facilitated by a Navy veteran, Drew Kirk. It's going to be located at the American Legion Greenbrier Post 45. And it's going to be from 1 p.m. to 2:30 every other week. The way you can RSVP, you call the Legion Post at 615-619-2308. Again, that number for the Legion Post is 615-619-2308. They ask that you leave your name, number, and state for Healing Arts. So that way they can RSVP and have an idea of supplies needed. Healing Arts. So you want RSVP that you want to be a part of Healing Arts. Tell me, so was this his idea? Did he come to you and say, hey, we want to do this? Or you may have unpacked that earlier and I just can't recall. Terry and I started talking about that, and it sounds like it was his brainchild that he kind of came up with. It may be something I'm not aware that Terry was interested in, but he really was driving that as a therapy for some veterans, whether it was through a need he kept hearing, right, or something he wanted to do himself, but it seems like from what I know about it, the push, Terry was on board with this and really working with Mont Haven, and they've graciously agreed. And so I think once it grows, I'd love to see it grow. Yeah. The more I find out about it, though. Well, and two, the veteran that you mentioned, his name again that's going to be leading it.
His name is Drew Kirk.
And it may be that he needed it. It may be
Yeah.
something that he tapped into, and he saw the benefit for himself. And he's like, I know others could benefit from
Sure.
this. So, it may be that. And again, it's just those ideas that's like, I think we need to do this. And so you step up and do it, and you just never know what's going to come from it. So that's awesome. Tell them again, it's next week.
Next week, February 14th, on Valentine's
Day. Perfect start.
1 to 2:30.
Okay.
Veteran spouses, surviving spouses, first responders, and the spouses of first responders.
There you go. That's wonderful. And if you want to be a part of that, just call the Allegiant and tell them RSVP, say, I'm going to be there. And then you had also the other program that you were talking about. For the
Vietnam Veterans Day program?
No, there was one about, now I'm trying to, you had two things that you mentioned that were coming in. It was talking about checking at home. Checking in at home, I thought. What am I missing here? I'm forgetting. I'll have to go back and listen. You mentioned something about being at home in service. Was it all tied to the arts? I'm thinking.
I'm not sure.
Something about being able to come into your home, and what was that?
So I want, our veterans and spouses need to know that if always, if they can't come see us, please let us know.
Okay.
Call us. We will go see them.
Okay, maybe that was what you were talking about.
I will go see them. I know I mentioned earlier about the assisted living facilities.
Yes, that's what
I'm going to be hitting those. Abigail and I are together. I just want to make sure that those veterans and the families know that we're here. Mm-hmm. As much as we try to get the word out, there's still weekly, it seems, that veterans and families that come in and say, I didn't know you were here. They were coming to pay their property taxes and they saw our sign. So trying to get the word out as much as we can.
For sure.
Yeah.
And they're in the first Wednesday of every month covering, because there's all kinds of stuff coming up. I mean, we've got, of course, next month we've got Vietnam Veterans Day coming up. We'll be talking more about that. Maybe we can get Ken Gamble to come on in here too, because he's such such a part of that. But just, can't say enough about saving the date to be a part of that. You want to go ahead and unpack that one for us again before we wrap up here? What's going on?
Well, just real quick too, Terry, we spoke yesterday. He'd love to be a guest on the show in March. So
we
when
can make it happen.
That first Wednesday rolls around in March, as the details kind of finalize for the Veterans Day.
Okay.
He will be coming in here with me to make sure everyone knows the details about that.
Okay.
So for the 28th of March and 29th of March.
That sounds wonderful. And as we were talking earlier, just plan, if you were a part of it last year. And that's one thing too. I've had several people say, I was driving by Memorial Gardens. What was going on? And I'm like, well, it was Vietnam Veterans Day, and we were placing another, what do they call the things with the names?
Cenotaph.
Cenotaph. I can never remember that word. But there'll be a new one placed with all kinds of names on there. And if for some reason we've got veterans up in Michigan that I say every year, we got to get their names on there. And here it is another year, and I haven't reached out and gotten those done. I got to get that done this year. And so hopefully next year we'll have some Michiganders on there, because we have several in our family. Uncle Cooch, Kenneth Vivio served, and a couple of one of his brothers, and then also one of the other uncles, and also another husband to an aunt. And so we've got three that need to be honored. And so I'm going to remind me, Ken, to get that done. So next year, we're off I don't know what's going on. She says we're off the air. It must be the terrestrial signal. I don't know what they're doing. But on the social media side, we're still on, I believe. I think we're good. But nonetheless, somebody shouted from out there that we're off the air. So I'm not sure what's going on, but I think we're still on. But I do want to remind you that if you have a veteran from Vietnam you want to honor. Now, these are the ones who came home. We've got the wall that remembers those who we lost. My friend Kenneth is on that wall. But we have a lot that came back wounded, whether they were wounded from what they were exposed to with Agent Orange, or wounded in spirit. They served in a time when they were not treated well at all. And so it's a special thing, this memorial that we have at Memorial Gardens. Any Vietnam veteran can be on that wall. And you can talk to King Gamble about getting that done and be a part of the ceremony for next year. So are we missing anything, guys?
The only thing I want to say is, if on your platform of social media, if there's ever anyone that has questions, that they want us to research or address, and we come in here, we're more than happy to, if they have specifics to them, just to let me know. And so when we come in here, we can take care of that.
And what we've got right here, I see I'm looking at some stuff from Ken. He says, we need a room in the new office for vets to meet and have coffee and donuts. And he says, Terry is now the new chairman of the board for the Orange Heart Medal Foundation. Of course he is. Because, Terry's not going to retire and do nothing.
He doesn't have enough to do.
Come on. They will not let him rest, and says the office is open. Come and see us, Gwen is saying. So I guess she's in the office this morning, already there.
She woke up.
Good job. Good job. We're glad you got up out of bed there, sis. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Abigail, it's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you.
Look forward to having you in here again. Always good to see you, Scott.
Thank you, LaVern. Appreciate it.
And we'll see you next month with Terry.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll talk Vietnam Vets Day. Thank you guys for joining us. This is 1100 WSGI. You need to stay tuned because Sweetly Marie is on the way with the Ghost Show. And she doesn't say well, so she's going to have lots and lots of information for you. Stay with us. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a wonderful day. Barry and Rebecca Richards are with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. Now, what does that mean for you? That means you got a great team that's going to come to the table with you, whether you're buying or selling, or maybe you want to be